The panic you're feeling right now isn't about what's happening, it's about what your brain thinks is about to happen. There's this woman giving a presentation at work. She's prepared. She knows her material. But the moment she stands up in front of everyone, her heart starts racing. Her hands shake slightly. Her mind goes blank for a second, and she has to look at her notes even though she didn't think she'd need them. She can feel her face getting hot, and the whole time, there's this voice in her head saying, "They can tell you're nervous, you're blowing this. Why can't you just be calm like everyone else?" And the more she thinks about being nervous, the more nervous she gets. It's like drowning in 3 feet of water while everyone watches. That spiral, that feeling of losing control right when you need control most, it's not a character flaw. It's your brain running an ancient program that doesn't know the difference between a presentation and a predator. See, your body has this alarm system that's been around for millions of years. It's designed to keep you alive when something threatens your survival. When your brain detects danger, it floods your system with chemicals that prepare you to either fight or run away. Your heart speeds up to pump blood to your muscles. Your breathing gets shallow and fast to get more oxygen. Your thinking narrows to focus only on the immediate threat. Blood moves away from your digestive system and your extremities toward your core and major muscle groups. You get sweaty so you can cool down during intense physical activity. All of this makes perfect sense if you're about to fight off an attacker or sprint from danger. But your brain can't really tell the difference between physical and social danger. Presentation, a difficult conversation, a job interview, a first date. These things can trigger the same alarm system as a physical threat. Because for most of human history, being rejected by your social group could literally kill you. Getting kicked out of the tribe meant you probably wouldn't survive. So your brain treats social threats as seriously as physical ones. The problem is that the alarm response that helps you survive a bear attacks you worse at giving presentations. You don't need to fight or flee. You need to think clearly and speak calmly. But your body is prepared for physical action, not mental performance. So you get all this activation energy with nowhere to put it, and it comes out as shaking hands and racing thoughts and that feeling of panic. And here's where most people make it worse. They try to stop the response. They tell themselves, "Calm down, just relax, stop being nervous." But that doesn't work. You can't think your way out of a physiological response. It's trying to your heart by telling it to stop. The alarm system doesn't listen to rational arguments. In fact, fighting against it usually amplifies it, because now you're stressed about being stressed. You've added another layer of threat, the threat of not being able to control yourself. So the first secret to staying calm under pressure is counterintuitive. Don't try to stop the response. Accept that it's happening. Your heart is racing. Hands shaking? That's fine. Mind moving fast? The response itself isn't the problem. The problem is the story you tell yourself about the response. When you interpret physical activation as evidence that you're failing, that can't handle this, that something's wrong with you, that makes everything worse. But when you interpret the same physical sensations as your body getting ready to perform, as energy you can use, as normal, and even helpful, the whole experience shifts. There's actually research on this. People who are taught to reinterpret anxiety as excitement before a stressful perform better than people who try to calm down. Because excitement and anxiety are physiologically very similar. Racing heart, quick breathing, heightened alertness. The difference is the story. Anxiety is something bad is about to happen. Excitement is something challenging is about to happen and I'm ready for it. This isn't about lying to yourself. You're not pretending everything is fine when it's not. You're just accurately labeling what's happening. Your body is activated because something important is happening, and your brain is preparing you to meet it. The activation is useful if you let it be useful instead of fighting it. But there's more you can do. One of the fastest ways to shift your nervous system is through your breath. Not because breathing is magic, but because it's one of the few physiological processes you can consciously control that directly affects your autonomic nervous system. When you're in alarm mode, your breathing gets fast and shallow, chest-based. That tells your brain, yes, danger, stay alert. But if you deliberately slow your breathing down and breathe from your belly instead of your chest, you send a different signal. You're telling your nervous system, we're okay, we can handle this. And your body listens. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Hold for a second, then slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. The exhale being longer than the inhale is what matters. That activates the calming part of your nervous system. Do that a few times, and you'll feel the intensity start to dial down. Not disappear completely, but become more manageable. The other thing that helps is getting out of your head. When you're under pressure, your attention tends to collapse inward. You become hyper-aware of yourself, how you're feeling, how you're performing, how you're coming across. And that self-focus makes everything harder, because now you're trying to do the thing while also monitoring yourself doing the thing. But if you can shift your attention outward, onto the task itself or the people you're talking to, the pressure eases. Instead of thinking, am I saying this right? Do I sound stupid? Are they judging me? You just focus on communicating the idea. Instead of monitoring your hands for shaking, you use them to gesture naturally. You get absorbed in doing instead of how you're doing it. This is what athletes call being in the zone. It's not that they don't feel pressure. It's that they're so focused on the game that they forget to be self-conscious. And you can cultivate that same state by deliberately directing your attention away from yourself and onto whatever's in front of you. There's also something about preparation that most people misunderstand. They think being prepared means rehearsing until it's perfect, until they can do it without thinking. But that kind of preparation actually makes you more fragile under pressure. Because when something unexpected happens, and something always happens, you don't know how to adapt. You were ready for the script, not for reality. Better preparation is more flexible. It's understanding the material well enough that you can talk about naturally in multiple ways. It's thinking through what might go wrong and having a rough plan for how you'd handle it. It's practicing not just the content, but the feeling of being in the moment with uncertainty. That way, when pressure hits, you're not thrown off. You expected some level of chaos. You're ready to improvise. And here's something people rarely talk about. Pressure reveals where you're relying on control that you don't actually have. You can't control whether your hands shake. You can't control whether you get something for a second. You can't control how other people react. But you can control where you put your attention. You can control your breathing. You can control whether you show up a bail. And when you stop trying to control the things you can't control and focus on the things you can, pressure becomes more manageable. Because you're not fighting a battle on multiple fronts. You're just doing the next right thing, and then the next thing after that. One more thing about staying calm. It's not about never feeling fear. It's about acting despite fear. People who look calm under pressure aren't necessarily feeling calm inside. They're just not letting the feeling dictate the action. They feel the fear, acknowledge it, and then do what needs to be done anyway. And the more you practice that feeling fear and acting anyway, the more your brain learns that the fear is just noise. Information, but it's not a stop sign. Most people wait to feel brave before they act brave. But it works the opposite way. You act brave first, and the feeling follows. You do the thing while your heart is racing. And your brain eventually gets the message that this situation isn't as dangerous as it thought. The alarm system starts to quiet down because you've proven through your behavior that you can handle it. This is why exposure matters. The first time you do something scary, it's terrifying. The 10th time, it's still uncomfortable but less intense. The 100th time, it's just normal. Not because you've become a different person, but because your brain has recalibrated what counts as a threat. And the only way to get there is to keep doing the thing, even when it feels awful. None of this pressure easy. It doesn't eliminate the physical response or the discomfort, but it changes your relationship to it. Instead of seeing pressure as something you have to overcome or evidence that you're not good enough, you start seeing it as just part of doing things that matter. It's the price of entry for challenge, for anything meaningful. And maybe that's the real secret. Pressure isn't the enemy. It's your body's way of saying this matters. And the fact that it matters is exactly why you're willing to feel uncomfortable to do it. The pressure is proof that you care. And caring enough to show up despite the fear, that's not weakness. That's the whole point. Maybe staying calm under pressure isn't about feeling calm at all. Maybe it's about trusting yourself to function even when you don't.